Welcome back to Fi-Losophy, a podcast where we finally get down to the fundamentals of life and money and whatever else that's on our brain. So Tyson, I'm Andrew. We are here. We're excited to be talking about philosophy. Stoicism is where we've been kind of diving in the deep end, but we've also been talking a lot about financial independence, how you can reach financial independence, what that means, and how Stoicism, or having a mindset of a Stoic, can help you achieve those goals.
That's right. That's a very good summary, Andrew.
That is where we've been. Well, you're the one with the masters. I've just been summarizing your wisdom, and you've only been summarizing Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, which has been pretty cool. We ended last episode on a quote from Marcus Aurelius.
Yes.
And just thinking about this idea really in deep, I think the quote was, "Almost nothing material is needed for a happy life to those who have understood existence." Mm-hmm. And I have not yet understood existence, but I was thinking about it a little bit briefly just to kind of tie that thread. And the only thing that kind of resonated with me over the time is to say, I think that there's a value in being comfortable in existing. Mm-hmm. So the thing that struck me out of that is I actually should take joy in being here, being alive, the opportunities that I have. We've talked a lot about, what you can control versus what you can't control. Mm-hmm. And there's an element of just kind of finding some peace in even just the reality that the day is beautiful and sunny and I can stand under the sun and enjoy being alive in this time, whether there's aches and pains because I'm getting older, any of those things, and whether I have as much money as I want to have or not, I can actually release that stuff and enjoy existence. So I'm just going to start there.
Yeah, no, that's a great place to start because I think we didn't. I don't think we've put a full closure on that on the last episode. After we recorded it, I was thinking about it a little bit more, and I started to think, we had this message of want less, do less, have less, which goes really against kind of the American dream. And I'm not harshing on the American dream. What I'm saying is there is definitely a pressure to get he who dies with the most toys wins, right? That sort of mindset. And I'm guilty. I've got 7 guitars, I think. Why does a guy need 7 guitars? I've got multiple PA systems in my house. Why do you need more than one PA system in your house? I mean,
that is a really good question.
It doesn't make any sense.
You should sell one to me. I need one.
Okay, well,
we'll
talk after the show.
That's right. We're failed musicians. What it really boils down to, the reason why we're philosophers and entrepreneurs is we wanted to be musicians, but we weren't good enough. So, okay, this is truth hour, guys. This is truth hour.
But I also have 6 laptops.
So you're a failed programmer. So there you go.
So after I was reflecting after that, we recorded that show, and I was like, there's some people that are probably listening and going, communists, or like, what are these? Some kind of like tree huggers.
We talked a lot about capitalism and the market, and
right?
Things, so
we weren't real kind to it, right? So it's like, is this some kind of philosophy where, like, getting things is bad? And so I wanted to, just kind of frame that a little bit because this constant wanting more, getting more, doing more. We talked a little bit about building good habits. How about it's not don't focus on where you're going because you can't actually control getting there. Focus on the things that you can do that will at least set yourself up on the path you want to be on. We talked about that. But this constant wanting more, doing more, there was this way of looking at it where if you're on a constant path to wanting or to getting more, constantly getting more, do you think this is a real question? Like, I want to hear what you think.
I will give you a real answer.
Do you think that if that was you, the constant pursuit of adding more material items to your life, do you think you would be happier at the beginning of that journey or the end of that journey?
There's an interest. I mean, I think I was listening to Freakonomics one time. They were talking about this idea that the first restaurant you ever go to is the best restaurant you've ever been to. The 100th restaurant, and what they were really referring to is why when you get old do you go to the same restaurant all the time? and the reason that most times as you get older, your favorite restaurant becomes the only one you go to is because it's a reliability. The percentage chance of getting your new favorite restaurant goes down over time. So you tend to then, instead of trying to strive for the novel, you go to the reliable because you know what you're going to get. So to answer, by way of answering your question, what I'm saying is, I think that the tendency is when you are young or when you're at the beginning of that journey, you think the next thing you achieve is going to be the thing that is going to make you excited, happy, fulfilled. And that first thing does, so you go to look for the next one. And the next one only has a 50-50 shot of being better than the first one. And then you're at 33%. And then you're at 25%. And it keeps going down. And so there's a diminishing return there. So my answer to you is, I think you're going to be happy at the beginning, not at the end. Yep. If your goal is only pursuit of more or different or better or et cetera.
You bring up some really interesting points there. And that's this idea of pursuit and anticipation about the next one.
Yep.
Because if that's what you're doing, then you're never going to, if the next thing is what's going to make me happy, then you're never going to be happy. And if you're never going to be happy, you never are happy. Happiness is not something you become. Yeah. It's something you are.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah. There's this great quote by Oscar Wilde. You know who Oscar Wilde is, right?
I do.
There are only two great tragedies in life. One is never fulfilling your heart's desire. The second is fulfilling your heart's desire.
Yep.
Because once you think that's the thing is going to fulfill me, you're done.
Yeah.
And you're going to be looking for the next thing, and it's only going to get higher and higher. I'm not even sure where I was going with any of that, to be honest. But I wanted to because the point of this episode is some practical tips.
Yes.
So I just wanted to circle back at the end of the last episode where we were really harshing on wanting more and all of that. But if we've convinced anyone in any capacity that this constant desire to add things to your life is not healthy, if anyone's in agreement with that statement and they want to learn some techniques to maybe help mitigate that constant desire to add more and more material things to their lives, I have a few practical tips this week.
And to maybe put a different spin on it, there is joy in being satisfied with your life. There is joy in being satisfied with where you are on a journey and enjoying the moment. I mean, I think that's one of the things that like a lot of great philosophies, religions, and things share in common is this idea that if you can be enjoying the present, even if you believe in a future life that everything, but you can have some peace in the present, there is a huge amount of value there. And so I think, talking specifically about Stoicism, that there is a construct there that's worth pursuing and understanding, to say, can I be satisfied with now?
And it's a hell of a lot cheaper.
That's financial independence, right?
Because if you don't need all that other stuff to make you happy, if you go, oh, I am happy. I'm happy right now.
Yep.
And I don't have to eat at a $200 restaurant and I don't have to do these things and I can still be happy, you can become financially independent in a much shorter period of time because I'm happy. And that's the goal.
Right.
What is financial? Why would anyone want to become financially independent? So that they can spend more of their time doing the things that they want to do in life instead of working for somebody else.
That's right.
Right. And that comes down to happiness. All right. I think that's going to be the topic. Mark my words. That'll be the topic of the next episode. This one's going to be about some practical tips to stop wanting more.
Perfect.
Okay.
Practical tip number one.
Practical tip
from
number one.
Tyson Koska, right here.
No, this is Stoicism.
Sorry. Practical tip number one from Marcus Aurelius.
Well, I don't know who.
Practical tip number one for Epictetus.
From the school. So there's Seneca. There's lots of other Stoic philosophers. I haven't mentioned them because
they're not as important.
Well, no. Well, maybe in my mind. But this is not a 200 level class in Stoicism.
Hey, they can't control our reputation, their reputations. If I've learned anything, they can't control their reputations. We think of them what we do.
We do. They can't, and they can't be worried about it.
But they certainly can't. So collectively, they have given us some practical tips.
Yes, they have. All right. So there's one technique called negative visualization. Okay. Does that mean anything to you?
No.
Okay. So
I'm an optimist.
Negative visualization is when you visualize something negative in your life that doesn't actually exist. Now,
that sounds like worry.
No, it's not. All right. I'm going to give you one that I actually use.
Okay.
I wish it was daily, but it's as daily as I can manage. And that's doing sit-ups. So when I'm doing sit-ups, I hate doing sit-ups. And when I'm doing them, what I think to myself is, if I was suddenly paralyzed, the ability to do sit-ups would be an amazing, amazing experience. Thank God I'm not paralyzed. And I'm able, this is a gift. This is a gift for me to be able to rack out 50 sit-ups. And
so you can only do 50. Sorry.
But
no, that's a gift. That makes a lot of really good sense, which is so negative visual. See what I heard when I heard negative visualization, I heard picture the worst case scenario.
Actually that's is also part of Stoicism. I'm not sure we actually talked much about it, but they've got this idea that you should prepare your mind for like the absolute, like inflation and like we were talking in the last episode about all these bad things. Prepare your mind like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But then, that's kind of an age-old thing. Like expect the worst and prepare for the worst, expect the best.
Right. Well, that's a good point. But I mean, the difference there between worrying. I mean, we talked a little bit about what you can control, what you can't control.
Yeah, and they're not worrying about it. They're doing the things right now.
So I think that's an important practical tip to kind of tie in. Well, so you were talking negative visualization.
Yeah,
I totally took you off. And I'm hijacking your practical tip for another practical tip.
Okay, great.
Which is specific when you're thinking about, hey, preparing for the worst, right? Prepare. It's not about worrying about the worst. Right. It's preparing for the worst.
That's right.
So that's practical tip from me that was unplanned by you. That was. But you led me into that, which is prepare for the worst. And that really means prepare, not worry.
Yeah.
And expect the best.
I'm going to plug Brian Tracy. Have you ever read any of his books?
No.
He's like a motivational writer. And I will admit, from time to time, I do enjoy reading motivational books. Okay. And he wrote something.
Got a bit of a man crush on Tony Robbins?
No, I've never actually read any of his stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Tim Ferriss.
He's too much.
Hang upside down by your head, your boots.
Yeah, my wife has read him. She likes him. I have not actually read. Can I just talk about Brian Tracy for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So he wrote that in every moment of your life, prepare to be surprised by joy.
Ooh.
And I'm like, that is so cool. So like sometimes when I'm just like walking through a room, I'm like, something joyful is about to happen to me. And so when I was listening to his book, that was going through my head, and I happened to be on a road driving up a hill, and I was like, expect joy. Like, is that really something usable in one's life? And I crested the hill, and it was like the most beautiful sunrise or probably sunset. I'm not up for a lot of sunrises. It was probably I crested the hill, and it was the most beautiful sunset I had ever seen. And I was like, oh my God, I just crested this hill, and joy just like invaded itself into my visual space. Okay. You derailed me. We were talking about negative visual. So I want to give another example of negative visualization, which is one that's so something philosophy students or philosophers like to make philosophy students do are called mind experiments. So a mind experiment. Imagine yourself, whatever you're most afraid of, being deaf, being blind, whatever it is. Imagine yourself and like really think about it. Like, okay, so if I suddenly went blind, what would I need to do in my house? What would I need to do? How would my relationships stand up? Would I be able to enjoy the things in my life? Or if I wasn't able, what other joys would I want to seek out? And then in a moment, give yourself your sight back. You have the power to give yourself your sight back, but only if you take it seriously, only if you negatively visualize this thing and you realize that, oh my God, my life is so, this is right. This is what we're talking about this
1,000%.
week. Practically, my life is so amazing because I can see, I can hear, I can lay on the floor and do, only 50 sit-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, but I can't do 50 push-ups. I mean, over a couple of days I can.
Oh, well, that counts for something. No, but I think that's a good point, which is, practically speaking, they're like recognizing that you are fortunate in many situations, as opposed to taking the opposite position of viewing yourself as someone who these circumstances have happened to, and you have little to no control over them, and
and if you have no control,
you don't worry. It's good. So, okay, what else can you do?
All right. So negative visualization, that was practical tip number 1. Practical
1.5, because I kind of snuck in a half one on there.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Next one is called voluntary discomfort. This one shouldn't be so hard to understand. Voluntary discomfort. What do you think that's all about?
That sounds like something I don't want to do. Which I'm going to have to do tonight, because my son and I said we are literally going to make a commitment to sleep outside one night every month this year. And it was a voluntary discomfort in January.
Yeah, this is the last day of the month.
He has been doing this awesome play and a bunch of other things. He's been in a lot of things, so it's been really
outside.
busy. So we're gonna have to sleep outside on the deck or somewhere tonight. So because this is the last night, and he's got to go to school tomorrow. So we are gonna voluntarily discomfort ourselves.
Yeah, you know what? You're gonna love it afterward. But anyway, yes, that is a little bit of voluntary discomfort. Other examples might be keeping the house colder in the winter than you would normally. Or keeping the house hotter in the summer when you would normally, just for a period of time. We're not trying to like kill anyone. Do that experiment a little bit, and then just return your thermostat to where it was. And you may discover, I can dial it down a little bit. So you've already saved money. This is a Fi podcast,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
You've already saved money, but just by doing the experiment.
We're barely trying to convince ourselves of that.
But
just kidding.
But then, after the experiment is over,
Yep.
you might change some habits.
Yep.
So that's one example of voluntary discomfort. Here's an example of voluntary discomfort that I imposed on my family a couple of years ago. And I said, so I have 2 little girls and a wife. And I said, we're going to have a no-spend month where we do not eat out. We do not get fast food. We do not buy any clothes. I don't buy any gadgets. I don't buy any guitars or strings. We literally only buy groceries, and we buy practical groceries, no pre-made meals. What else do we spend on? Yeah. If you got to get toothpaste, that's fine. No fancy flossers. And we're going to do this for 1 month, which you're like, 1 month is, you think it's not that long. You get to about week 2 and you're like going a little crazy. Mm-hmm. I actually think we didn't actually make it through the month. I think I did at some point break down and we had to go to Five Guys or something. But what I thought was going to happen, because I read about this on somebody's Fi blog, right? About doing a no spend month. What I thought was going to happen was after we did this experiment and we literally saved thousands of dollars.
It's scary.
In this month.
It's scary.
We saved thousands of dollars. And I thought the next month our spending would be double because all the things we didn't buy, the clothes and the gadgets and the this and the that, we would have this natural impulse like, oh, the reins are off. Now we're free to go do it. Guess what happened, Andrew?
You spent less.
We spent less than our normal spending. I thought we would spend double. So we not only did we save thousands of dollars in month 1, then we spent less in month 2, and we appreciated every little treat that we got. We appreciated it double than we did before.
So 3 quick tips. 1, negative visualization, recognizing you can find joy in those moments where you might be experiencing something difficult and you recognize it could be worse.
Yeah.
2, actually prepare for the worst. It's okay to visualize what's bad, but prepare for it. Don't worry about it. And then 3, choose occasionally to put some constraints, to put some discomfort in your life financially and see how you respond, because you might be surprised at the habit that you've gotten into when you voluntarily and actively choose to constrain those things, how much more you can do or how much more you can save or how much more you can invest. So those are a couple of quick tips as we talk about how to kind of put this Stoic philosophy into practice. I'm Andrew. This is Tyson. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week.
Thanks.